any successful person knows that, or thinks they know, that productivity is the key to getting more done and having more achievements and being more successful as a business person. But I would stipulate that all of that is wrong. All of it's false. And we've been fed a lie by these folks where they're chasing the wrong thing, I believe. Anyone will tell you that practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. And think about with how we're working, right? Is it that just writing more content will get you more website visitors and then customers? No, it's that writing good content that solves people's problem and shows how your content solves those problems will maybe get you more visitors and thus more customers. Think about, developing product, right? Is it that having more features will make your product better? Or is it that having the right features, well designed and thought out and implemented that are bug free will get more customers and solve their problem, and they'll stick around so you don't have to get a whole bunch of new customers every month? And I think this applies everywhere, right? It's as powerful as the 80-20 rule to me. And it is that the key is not productivity, it's prioritization. And I have struggled immensely with this over time. For a long time, I just thought like, hey, I just want to go create a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of shit. And that's just a trap, because what's actually happening is I'm being lazy. I'm being lazy because I'm not taking the time to be intentional about figuring out what the hell is the most important thing for me to do to move my business forward, to make it successful. And I've realized this just recently, right? I've been running Castos for 5 years, 3 years before that with Podcast Motor. And for the longest time, I was just more instead of good and most important and priority, right? I would say the most important thing is not productivity, but prioritization. If you can only do one thing every day, I 100% guarantee you'll be more successful than if you do 10 or 20 or 100 things that just don't matter. And I told someone on my team this the other day. I said, like, this thing just doesn't matter, right? This thing you're doing, I'm sorry, just doesn't matter. And that's really hard for folks to hear, but it's actually liberating, because they can say, cool, I just don't have to worry about doing this thing anymore. If it doesn't matter, if my CEO and my boss tells me that like it doesn't matter, it gives me the liberty and the privilege to say, I'm not going to do this thing anymore. I'm not going to focus on it. And I think this is something that we as founders need to tell our teams. It is like, hey, I'm learning a lot about prioritization in my kind of personal work life. I want to share what I've learned so that you can then take those learnings and implement them in how you're working, right? And if they're managers, to send that down to their teams. It's never been more competitive. It's never been harder to run a business. And doing a bunch of stuff just doesn't cut it. But doing a couple things really, really well that are super important, to me, has just made a big difference, right? And I'm trying really hard on this channel not to be preachy and tell folks what to do, but to say what I've done that's made a difference that I think can make an impact in your life and in your business. And to me, this is one message that I just can't not share, because it's just made such a big difference for me, is like, stop doing so much stuff, right? I've talked on social media, and I'll link to it in the description below, about like my time audit, right? So I audit everything I do every 15 minutes for 2 days. And then I go and look at that and say, like, what made a big difference and what did I really like doing? And if those 2 boxes are not checked, I try really hard to just stop doing them entirely. And if I can't stop doing them entirely, I'll automate them away with software to where I get like the 80-20 of it. And then if they absolutely have to be done by a person, I don't do them anymore, but delegate them to my executive assistant or someone on the team, because I got to focus and give myself like the time and the mental space and the mental energy, kind of capacity or reserves, to focus on the most important things. And I'll be honest, like, this is one of the most important things for me right now, right? My YouTube for this channel and for the Castos YouTube channel is the most important thing. And how do I do that? I make sure that they're the very first damn thing I do every morning when I sit down, right? I prioritize my week to where Tuesdays and Fridays I create content, and all morning I'm doing this on Tuesdays and Fridays. And that way I know I am getting it done, right? If shit happens and things blow up later in the day, that's cool, because like I've already done this and it's done, and I can say to the team, hey, here it is, go hog wild with it. And it's because I've just finally realized that like prioritization, doing the most important things as good as I can possibly do them, is what's going to make me successful, right? So that means doing it when you're fresh, first thing in the morning, prioritizing days of the week to do those things, and just giving yourself the capacity, the mental space to really focus on them has really made such a big difference to me. And I want to share that with you. I hope it helps. And I hope it makes creating an impact on your business and making your kind of personal life at work more fulfilling. If you're enjoying this, like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and we'll see you soon.